Oh, it's cut my head off a little bit, but hopefully it should be fine. As long as we can see what we're drawing today, it should be exciting. So today's workshop is looking at how we can use different drawing techniques to help with how we are coping in this crazy time. But the first thing, I hope you're all okay and you're all staying safe and well. And hopefully a little bit of drawing today will help all calm ourselves down. These are things that I've found really important in my own art practice, and hopefully I can give you some little ideas to get going at home. If you have anything like pens, paper, paints, whatever kind of mark making materials you can get your hands on, we can do something with it. Okay, so if I just show you some examples of the kind of things that we're going to be looking at today. The idea is to create something of feelings you're feeling at the moment and then change them into something a little bit more positive and bring positive energy through drawing. So this is one drawing I did. The idea was at the time I was feeling a bit angry and a bit frustrated, and then by using the different coloured patterns and techniques, this helped me calm down. And just the mindful process of drawing I've always found really helpful. If you haven't got any colourful crayons or pens or anything, you can always do something in black and white. If any of you know me or have seen my work before, most of my work is in black and white, but it's been quite nice to challenge myself with different colours and things. This is something I started recently. Let me just show you a couple more so you've got some ideas. So this one, I would say, is my most successful one I've done so far, in the sense that it's really looking at different patterns and lines within each squiggle. I could technical terms using there, but I think we're a little bit early at the moment. So if I just discuss this a little bit, this one last one. So this is another colourful one I did, just using felt tips because that's all I had to hand. As a lot of you have probably found, different art materials have been a little bit harder to get hold of at the moment, but I think hopefully we can create something fun. So the first steps of this particular exercise is to try and think about how you're feeling in the present moment. And you don't have to obviously discuss this with anybody, but you could think about how it will benefit you. So I'm going to do something because I feel a bit confused, a bit lost, and hopefully I can try and change that into something a little bit more positive by the end of the session. So we'll start off just by drawing some kind of line, thinking about the line you're creating on the page and how this represents that confusion, anger, or even if you're feeling happy today because the sun's out and it's lovely and cheery. Are these spring shapes? Are they solid shapes? Are they all uptight and curly? Or are they smooth and flowy? Is there a mixture of shapes? Is there going to be a couple of disruptions in the shapes you're making? So it might start off as quite confused and slow. It might go quicker. You might even have a couple of moments where you're just not quite sure. These unsure things are absolutely fine. Wow, that's a very scribbly page I've just made there. Right. So at this point you can look at the drawing you've made, the scribble. So here's mine. That every single time I've made one it's a little bit different because obviously you're reacting to the time and the moment now. So are you happy with it? And try and figure out, if you want to, you can begin to change the lines. So for instance, at the moment I've got a line here which is a little bit zigzaggy, and I think that needs to be straight rather than this wobbly line, because at that particular time I was feeling a little bit nervous, if anything, because I've never done anything like this before. So right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to edit a couple of the lines so then I feel more comfortable when filling it in. So I'm just going to draw through this line here And in the end, it's up to you again whether you want to you want them to be straight, whether you want them to be wobbly. If you like the idea that you can see the motion of the hand in the drawing you've created. But I'll just fill these in like so. I'm going to leave a couple of them with the wibbly wobbly lines and see whether we can work with those throughout the workshop. I'm not sure whether you can see this very well in pencil. So I tell you what, that can be the quick demo, and I'll do one in felt tip pen so it's a little bit easier for you to see on the camera. Okay, so again, if you want to do anything on a smaller scale, like in the sketchbook, like I showed you before, that's absolutely fine. Or again, you can work larger scale, like I am today, and even bigger if you've got paper. I know I've got a roll of paper I'm hoping to get my hands on soon and do something like this. So I'm going to go again, but I'm going to use a black pen, something which is quite thick, just so you guys can see what I'm up to. So yeah, we're working. So again, like I said originally, just trying to think about the feelings that you're currently experiencing. And like I said, it's really sunny outside. I say that looking over there because it's super sunny out there. And at the moment I can hear the birds whistling. And to be honest, they've been driving me slightly insane. I did think about doing the live outside today, but I thought you probably won't be able to hear me amongst the birds and things. I'll be back out there later though. So I'm going to try and do a similar kind of thing. I'm still kind of feeling the same feelings at the moment. Something quite slow. Just trying to get into the idea of loosening up during this particular drawing I'm doing today. But I do think that I have this, like I said, nervousness, which is completely normal in this situation. So I'm going to draw a couple of bold marks, and doing something in pen means that you can't adjust it, and sometimes that can be helpful, because I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes, and in this kind of work it's really important we just go with the process and what the materials do for us. So I'm going to do a couple of really strong lines across this, and then begin to draw smaller ones again. There we go. Feel like this is a little bit more showing the experience I'm feeling at the moment. Right. Some people might find it easier actually if you did this whilst blindfolded, or if you closed your eyes and did it, just to try and loosen up, because the idea is now you've expressed the feelings you're feeling at the moment onto the paper, and now we're going to think about how to bring the positive energy into the drawings. So might sound a bit crazy, but when you're thinking about lines, you can think about how certain lines portray different feelings, whether this is, like I was saying earlier, about the angry line of the zigzags, or the smooth, flowy, happy line, bouncy, happy lines, dotted, nervous lines, some positive, even drawing like crosses and things like positive signs. And the idea now is we're going to fill these gaps in this space with these different techniques. So again, I might start off black and white, and I might do a smaller one which is colourful later on today. We'll see how things go and how many people want to join in and things like that. So black and white, I've got an awfully amount of black pens because I'm very good at that. And then we'll think about what kind of shapes we're going to fill. So the first shape that I think can help display happiness and joy, I would say, is like spots, dots and things like that. So choose any area in your particular drawing you've made, and then we'll start filling them in with these different patterns. Some people like to use things that represent things rather than just random shapes. So I started one, but it didn't work as well for me, but different people, like I said, different things work. So I started doing one with different flowers and patterns in. So if that works for you, that's absolutely fine. just try and figure out your way of creating these patterns in the shapes. So I'm just drawing small dots at the moment on the piece of paper, not really thinking too much about how they come together, whether they're perfect or not, what kind of size they are. I think that's quite important at the moment. These, I feel like large dots seem to be happier in some ways to me right now. It's trying to respond to those feelings again throughout your mark making. And then we'll introduce different mark making techniques throughout the exercise. So this is just a dark grey one. So I would say that I would like to feel more in control. So that feeling, how would we show that through line? Maybe some kind of stripes, that's quite regimented. Oh, my hand's shaking. Strange. I think that needs some more in there. And just adapting and working with what you've got and seeing how things work with your style of drawing. Different people will enjoy different things, and that's the joy of drawing, really, isn't it? So how else? I might do some more dots. Well, these ones are a little bit different because the pen has affected the dot. So in this particular case, they're not quite round, which is quite nice, a bit different compared to the other ones, which seem quite fun. And I think, but the concentration you put into drawing at the time really can help you focus on the task that you're doing at the moment. Whether this is through dots, I'm really getting into this now, or whether this is through lines. Some people might find it easier to work on something and then stick different parts down onto the piece of paper. Other people, I quite enjoy the concept of filling it in. It's a bit like mindfulness colouring, which I think a lot of people have been doing at the moment, just to distract their minds a little bit on what's going on. Another thing that I've read is that trying to draw in time with your breath, which might sound odd, but it's to try and bring in this positive energy again. So if we, should I be a rebel and use some colour? I quite like this colour. Anybody who knows me right now watching this will think, what is going on? It's just like a minty, tealy green. So I'm going to draw some squiggles because I feel like that's quite a happy shape. Or maybe some springs. I think that might be quite nice. With these pro markers, they don't bleed as such, but they are very interesting to draw with because they layer up quite well in the way that you do them. Who knows what this will end up like in the end. I think that's the drawing through process I've always found really, really interesting. Quite like the idea of this black against some colour. So we'll do some more lines, I think. Try and bring a bit of uniform line back into here. Got this lovely thick end to the pen. Try and use whatever you have to its full ability. I'll get some biros out in a second, so if any of you have limited supplies, you can think about how we can use biros and pencils to create different effects in this particular workshop. Oh. Is it me, or do you love the sound of the felt tip pens on paper? Just quite try and listen to that kind of thing. And if any of you have ever done any mindfulness techniques previously, you'll understand that It's really about trying to engage your senses and trying to make yourself feel present in the moment and feeling the ground beneath your feet and really focusing on your breath and becoming present in the moment. Right, I've got a slightly lighter green now. I think and this particular one, I think I'm going to go for like calm colours, because I feel like that's what I'd like, the energy I'd like to bring in today. Feeling calm and at peace with the world would be quite nice. But you've all managed to get hold of our own little ways of doing things at the moment. We've had to change and adapt the way we work. Whether any of you are artists or whether you just like making a bit of art in your spare time, or even if you've got your children involved in this activity. I have linked it all on my website as well. If you just go to greystonesart.com, there's some worksheets on there and some different techniques for you to use. I think these might layer well with a different colour put on top of them. Something I haven't done before in this particular technique is using multiple colours in one block. But we'll see how it goes again. Really trying to focus on each individual mark and how spending time on that mark and thinking about how you're feeling. I've always really found repetition really important within my own practice, and I found it's the best way to try and concentrate and just not distract, but focus your mind on something a little bit different. Might try and think about how we can incorporate text or something into this later on, or in some different drawings we make. The fun thing with art, I always think, that things change, don't they, as you get going, and you learn new different techniques and things. Can you hear that noise? Like ASMR, but for drawing workshops. I've never made one this large before, because normally if I'm making something, I'm trying to do it in a busier area. So I've done some of these drawings on trains and things where I've felt anxious in the past. And so I wouldn't normally take a huge sketchbook. I'd normally take something quite small and work on a small scale. So it's quite nice to be doing something different today. I thought it might be a little bit easier for you guys to see and understand what I'm trying to do and show you. Oh, here we are. So I've got regular felt tips, something you might have at home. These are just from Sainsbury's. I'm sure anything would do. It's the only ones I could get hold of, if I'm totally honest. So let's think of some other shapes. I'll do some wavy shapes, like I said before. I think that's quite a positive shape to use. Might go along the lines in the same contours of the original line we've created. Again, it doesn't matter, there's no such thing as a mistake in these kind of drawings. And rather than doing the drawing for the actual finished piece, I think this can be very useful to do just for a little bit of your own time. Just go with the flow. My hands are still shaking. Hopefully we can change that by the end of this session. Feels a bit strange when talking to yourself. Right, there we go. Well, hopefully you've all got a lovely busy weekend ahead of you. Well, I say busy, in the house. FaceTiming family or friends or any of those kind of things. I know I did a pub quiz, which was quite fun last night with my family. I'm absolutely terrible at general knowledge and things like that, but I don't think it's about, again, it's, it's about taking part in these kind of things. Oh, talking a lot makes your throat go a bit dry. Okay, so I said we'll try with something with a biro. This is a blue one because the first one I came to hand, like I said. So I think it would be quite nice to work on a smaller space in this particular case and show you what we've got so far. Not very much because you have to really try and concentrate on these shapes you're creating. So I'm quite enjoying going along with the shape of that it's been made by the scribble in the beginning. So just draw some lines. Just even the thing of concentrating on what you're doing is so helpful. I think we're all guilty of being on our phones and watching TV whilst speaking to somebody, shopping online, you know, so it's quite nice just to stop and just do one thing for yourself today. Really focusing on your lines and mark making. Just wanted to be able to give you some kind of workshop which you could all get involved in, even if you have limited materials. And you can't get to the shops because we all know that we're all trying to avoid those at the moment, and art shops aren't open and things like that. So I think it's quite nice if you've got one colour to try and use it in multiple places across the drawing and see what happens and see what kind of, how they echo in different places of the drawing. Something quite nice about this motion and this complete control of the pen that you have. So we're just focusing on these lines and how these can create a little bit of structure within the drawing. And like I said, you can just use a biro like I am, or might get some inks out later and see if we can use those as well. Making the most of whatever materials you have. So from the scribble we created in the beginning, hopefully those feelings of negativity, or even if, like I said, there could have been positive ones, could have brought more positive in, are starting to cope with a bit more now. So this, what we've got so far. I think I might bring a bit more of this darker blue in again, because I think it works well when there's different colours echoed around the paper. And again, this particular drawing, I want it to feel, I'm trying to bring in calm, so I'm trying to think of the colours which represent that as well. It went from a black and white drawing to now we're starting to add colour, which is quite nice. There we go. Again, there's something about these pens and the noise that they make whilst you're drawing, which is quite satisfying, hopefully. Again, this is using different concepts of mindfulness, trying to think about the way the lines are making you feel. And the sounds which the pens or paper is making at the same time. Oh, normally, which is strange, normally I do lots of dots in these kind of drawings, but I haven't done many, so I think we might try and bring some fun dots back in. Maybe again with this blue. And see how that works. I think quite big ones. Maybe we can start thinking about working with the negative space and trying to bring that forward and how that works in the particular drawing. Oh, this pen's a little bit low on ink. Seemed fine at the beginning. It's always the same though, isn't it? We'll work with what we've got. concentration on each individual dot. Completely unintentionally, I've done dots against dots, but because they're different sizes, they work quite well together. It's almost impossible not to think about a final outcome being an artist, but it's something which always changes, isn't it? When you're making work, you adapt and you change to what it is in front of you. So I'll bring this colour back again. These spring light shapes are quite interesting. I quite enjoyed doing those. I think trying to think about what shapes and lines create happiness when you're making them is also really important. And if that is something which is quite structured, then that's fine. I'm like, do the same again over here. I think these smooth lines are really calming at the moment. This one's a little bit different. I don't know where that one came from. It's responding to the pen and the paper and what kind of works for yourselves. Right. Should we try using some different techniques? I've got some ink here. And everything else, but I didn't bring a little tray to put it in, so I'll use the lid of the cotton buds. Something I've used quite a lot in drawing practice before is dipping ink with a cotton bud and then onto the stamping motion. I think it's quite a good little technique to use. Just dip directly into the ink. Let's see what this looks like, how it works. I haven't done it with ink before. Oh, it's kind of splodges out a little bit. Slight different change in dot, which is quite nice. I might try and do some faster work, just so we can get the majority of this particular drawing done during this session. Hopefully, if you're joining in, it should be helping yourselves as well. Oh, I've got a lot of ink then on the cotton bud. You see, making different marks like that. I also went rummaging out into the garden earlier because I thought, oh, people, sometimes you can use like things like sticks to draw with. See how that works. We don't all have like ink sticks at home, do we? So make the most of it. We got another noise again from the ink on the paper. Oh, that was loud. There you go. We've got a couple of people watching us. How are you doing today? We're just looking at different techniques at the moment and how we can use what we have around the house to create different marks on our paper. Starting off with different doodles and then slowly but surely filling them in. Oh, that one went a bit wrong. I guess there's no wrong in this particular case. Let me just go with it. So we've got so far. Right. Have I got a green? I think green would be quite good. I've got some yellow and I've got some blue. That makes green, doesn't it? Oh, favourite colour again. That turquoisey colour. That'll be quite interesting to use again. I think I might put some yellow in there and bring a little bit of the, it's a happy colour, isn't it? Yellow. important to think about those things whilst you're making. And what else have I got to draw with? I'm a bit reluctant to use paintbrushes because I think that some of you might not have them. Whereas at least you've all got a twig, I think, in your garden. Unless you've got a very tidy garden, that is. Right, let's give this colour a go. Well, this particular branch is very hard to control. It's got little horns on it, so it's almost impossible. Let me see if I can cut those off. Make it a little bit easier. In fact, we could cut it like a nib. So I've just cut a little slant at the top of that twig. See if we dip that in the ink. See if that will work. It's just the noises. Along with birds. Don't know if you can hear the birds outside. So just a little catch up on how we got to where we are at the moment. The concept is that if you begin the drawing with a large scribble, and how can you change the way you're feeling into something more positive, or bring even more positive energy in. So I started off being a little bit confused, a bit nervous, because I think everybody would be, and then slowly but surely trying to bring the positive energy in through different mark making on the paper. Trying to use things that you'll all have in your home, hopefully. So things like felt tip pens. I've got some cotton buds here, which I just dipped in some ink, and just pressing them onto the paper. I think repetition I found really helpful in this particular technique, because you can really concentrate on the pattern you're creating. But you can always just fill gaps in with just a solid colour. You can change them with different... Oh, one's got a lot of ink on. I love this colour at the moment, this greeny colour. It's everywhere. Going back to nature, isn't it, I guess? Something which brings quite a lot of happiness to me at the moment. Something which I'm really enjoying is that one walk a day we all get. So just using different techniques of what we can find in the home to create different marks. There we go. You can do whatever size you like, and like I said, normally I've never done anything this large in this technique. Normally I work on a smaller scale, so it just makes it a little bit easier to do in different places. Oh, we've got a few people joining us, that's a bit of fun. Is anybody joining in? Just start a scribble and start filling it in and thinking about the shapes and the lines and things like that that you're creating on the paper. I did say I would use some yellow. I think I should. A bit of yellow. I think that another positive colour to bring into today's workshop. And I might think about the negative space, like I said earlier. That might be a good thing. So I'm just going to draw these dots, thinking quite quickly, I think, because the time I'll spend filling in around it can be the time to concentrate. Different levels of concentration will come and go in this particular workshop. It's amazing how long it takes really to do. I've been doing this for half an hour now. Like I said, it's got the same kind of concepts of mindfulness colouring in really, but you're just bringing your own little spin on it. And at the moment I'm working on a little group project over on Instagram, and we're all trying to do little parts of drawings. I don't know if I want to colour that one in. I think that works quite well. Might colour a couple of solid blocks, because I think colouring in is quite nice, and this yellow is very bright. Right, I'll bring some more. Might go back to my favourite colour. I think you've all guessed what that is. Black. And begin to make some more dots. I think I might do another 5 or 10 minutes of this particular drawing, and then we'll go on to a different drawing, and hopefully sometime soon I'm going to try and show you how to do some 3-dimensional work. Not in this particular workshop, but in an upcoming one, hopefully. Trying to think about how to represent feelings in 3D forms of things around the house. Things you all have easy access to. And again, all these different ideas are on my website at the moment. Shameless little plug-in. Oh, hello. Oh, hello, Vanessa. Could you recap on what you did in the beginning? Of course I can. So, hang on, let me just finish filling out this particular section. Right, so I'll show you a quick demonstration of how to start one off again, so that, because we've had a few more people join us now. So the idea of this particular session is to think about the feelings that you're feeling at the moment and helping to bring positive ones in. So at the beginning of the workshop I was feeling a bit confused, so I thought about the lines that I was creating throughout the whole of the shape, and then we've now started to think about different lines that can bring happiness into the particular drawing. Sorry, that was got a bit stumbled there. So, but now I'm currently feeling quite calm and quite relaxed, and it's quite nice to see that a few people are watching now. So if any of you are starting, I'll just quickly show you how we started off this particular drawing. So thinking about those feelings. So happy. Right, so I think it'd be quite a similar bubbly shape. In fact, I might draw around something rather than doing a particular and continuous line. I might think about a shape, because I think circles are quite helpful to think about a positive shape. So you can draw around something. We could even do a mixture of both of these particular techniques, or we can just stick to one. So I'm going to do just a few circles, maybe a couple of different sizes, so just using a masking tape. So to do the inside here. Right. And happy feelings. I feel like they're quite slow and calm and thinking about that. Hope that makes sense. I hope. And then, so now from that particular scribble I've made, so you can see, I should have done it in pen again, I don't know why I didn't learn from a mistake. So from that particular scribble that we made, then we start filling in those shapes. So think about these positive shapes that bring this positive energy in to the drawing. So whether this is dots, controlled lines, squiggles, like happy loopy lines. You can even start thinking about bringing in something like flowers or something that represents something. That's what I'll do next, actually. Should use a bit more colour. Should I step away from the blues? I think we need a bit more yellow, to be honest, because it's a little bit odd in the middle of this particular one. So how about, I don't want to draw something in particular, I want to try and stick to this idea of pattern. You won't be able to see it very well in that colour. So I'll start off in something, do it in black, and I'll do a couple in yellow after, so you can see what kind of marks I'm making. I'm saying that as if I've thought about these. I'm just trying to act on instinct rather than planning too much on the lines that I'm making in this particular workshop. I think that's when I've had the most success in these drawings, is to try and think about lines and creating. And if something doesn't feel quite right, just adapt to it and think about how you can change it in that particular case. This is quite nice. Doesn't look quite neat though, but I don't think that really particularly matters in this case. I'm also trying to hurry along a little bit, so you'll have some kind of finished drawing at the end of this. Like I said, hopefully we'll be able to look at different techniques in the future. Lovely. I hope some of you are making some drawings at the same time. See what I'm doing a little bit. So you can think about something like flowers, if that's something that brings you joy or happiness, and think about how you could create that into a pattern. I think that kind of works. I think I need a bit more colour. Create some over here a little bit. Giving myself a challenge to try and fill this in. But if you're all enjoying this, then we can continue doing this, or we can think about, I could even start that other one and thinking about creating shapes and things like that. What other shapes can I think of? Some bubbles, like cloudy kind of shapes. That's quite happy. I might even do them in the typical colour. Cloudy. Oh, well, that's turned into something else, which isn't bad. Just got to go with what feels right. And hopefully by the end of this concentration will help you feel a little bit more creative, because I think everybody needs a bit of creativity at the moment. God, half an hour's gone already. Isn't that crazy? So maybe you could try and aim to get half of it done. I might add some more biro again, so you can see that it's not all impossible to do if you've got limited supplies at home. This idea really stemmed from when I was younger. We'd be sitting in restaurants and things, and like, oh, Mum, why is it taking so long? And then she'd just say, oh, here's a napkin, give me a pen, and I'd scribble on the napkin and colour it in. Don't know if anybody else did that. So I think trying to create these positive shapes within this particular not so calm drawing, it seems to bring me a lot of joy. I'm going to colour a few more in. I think that bold colour looks actually really good there. I might add a few more of those into this. Use the flat end of the pro marker, the scary bit. I've had these for years and they just never seem to finish, which is really good, really. I do think that they're going to save this after, so if any of you want to recap on the beginning and how we started it all, that might help. Right, some, I think more coloured blocks. I'm really, this colour especially. What you really need to think about what kind of colours you get drawn to personally. Listen to that noise. Quite satisfying. If anybody's learned anything about me from this workshop, they'll know that I like the sound of pens. A bit more of this. Oh, I did say I was going to go to biro again. Figure out how we can do that. How about here? Oh, that was right next to another biro. If you find yourself doing that, maybe try and create a different pattern so then they don't merge into one. So that's quite quick and easy to do, that particular one. Even if you scribbled in each individual one, I think it would work. I don't think you can really go wrong. I think sometimes these quick movements, although they feel frustrated, I find helps almost release some of the energy inside. Can you all see enough of the paper, or do you prefer me to move the camera a little bit? It's hard to try and figure out what's the right balance for you to be able to see what is going on. So we've got so far. For some new viewers, I'll quickly just show you some of the older ones that I did. So again, if you're not happy doing colourful work, hang on a minute, let me just find them in here. So you could do something starting off with a zigzag. It doesn't have to be in a smooth shape. Or you could do something which is very black and white, which I really enjoy doing this particular one. Black and white is my thing. But I have found some reason just drawn to colours today, which seems odd to me. Quite enjoying it. She says, picking up a black pen again. I think these dots need a bit of breaking up here, so I'm just going to draw some strong lines. Sometimes by breaking up the shape that you originally had with just strong lines through them and continuing it, really works. Some people might want to use rulers or stencils. See how that works. Do you want to carry on with this particular exercise? I don't know if we've got enough. Or shall I start with this other one? Carry on. Yeah, I quite see the way I've done this particular line. The straight across works quite well against these curved lines. So I might do a couple more of those to break up this colour a little bit. It's amazing how quickly you get quite good at drawing straight lines. Never when you need to draw straight lines, obviously. I hope that you've all been able to do a little bit of something creative during these times. So I think it's nice to just sit down, pen and paper. You can't get distracted whilst doing it. It's so immersive almost. Sort these out. Oh, we're getting somewhere in that middle bit now. I feel like it's coming together. How much paper I can see? Thanks. Oh, you're happy with how much paper we can see? That's what you're saying, yeah? That's good. I feel like otherwise, if you won't know who's talking to you. You need a little bit of both. For what we've got so far, if any of you need to see, okay. I think a few of you've had problems with trying to find the video, unfortunately. Sorry, I don't know what's happened there. I'm sure we can share it, and if anybody wants to watch it somewhere else, that's absolutely fine. We'll go on a little bit longer if people have only just started to find us. And if you want me to explain anything again, just put in the comments, and that's absolutely fine, not a problem. Oh, I liked those marks I made, one of the first dots in the beginning. I think that would be good right now. So I'm just going to try and use... It all started off very neat and orderly. If any of you, like me, end up being a little bit of a mess by the end of things, I think that would be quite a nice size. So, there we go. If any of you have drawn anything during this time, please share it with me. It's on, I'm on Instagram, Greystones Art. That'd be nice to see what's going on. And I was trying to start a hashtag of Scribble and Focus. And I'll put that in my bio on Instagram for you to find. I'll comment on it on this video after, so you can all see it as well. It'd be quite nice to see if anybody else has made anything, and hopefully we can, and if you need any more different wellbeing techniques using art and things, although I'm not a professional, that kind of thing, I do find art has helped me a lot, especially for university. Well, it's nice when you've got a few people watching, you feel like you're talking to them. It's a little bit easier than just talking to yourself. Yeah, this particular dot, I quite like this. I think it works quite well in black. Here, where I can't see what I'm doing here. There, that particular one, I think that works quite well. Maybe some solid black in here might make these colours pop a little bit more. Really try and bring out this positive energy that we're trying to create. Oh, I've got too many ideas and I don't know where to go next. I think maybe some green. No, I think green's quite a good. Again, looking back at nature side of things, I think that's quite an important thing. Something I'm really enjoying at the moment. Like I said earlier, I'm glad I've got a dog. So I think as well, during these exercises, you can even start practicing a little bit of gratitude and think about what you're grateful for. Because all of a sudden, we realise how much we took for granted. That pen noise. That's all you're going to learn from me today. Can you hear it? I'm going to get my twig out again. I thought that was quite fun. So I've just found a twig in the garden. I've got some ink here. I've got brown, black. Try and stay away from black grapes. Talking to myself, that's the first sign. Right. We shall continue. Just dip in the... Use any ink that you've got. If any of you've got a fountain pen, stuck at the back of your jaw or something. That could be quite fun. I've got one somewhere, but I never really got on with them, if I'm totally honest. Always found it quite difficult. Got hardly any control when you're using something like this, which is quite nice. Contradicting what I said earlier, but I think a mixture of control and not having control is quite good in doing these drawings, really. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, I thought I put it on mute. We were doing so well. Lovely. I think some more yellow again. What kind of shapes would you be drawing for your bringing in positivity? Oh, these, yeah, I like this. Squiggle. Really trying to get this balance of quick mark making, like this, or something slow and steady. Whether that's what works for you, and mixing it up throughout the process is quite important, really. What colour could go there? Maybe, if all fails, we'll get a black one out. I think we'll just continue doing this particular exercise, and next time, I think a lot of you joined halfway through, unfortunately. Maybe next time I'll do a few different ones. Well, I've just smudged all that ink I just did over there. Oh well, like I said, doesn't matter about the end result. It's amazing what kind of result you can get, even though there's several million mistakes on this, but I don't think it matters. This whole hand-drawn aspect of this, otherwise you'd be doing it on a computer, which you could always do actually. Scan in a Scribble, and or if any of you are any good with Photoshop, and bend things. Light blue, I haven't used a lot of that, and a bit more of that yellow, I think. You can fill it very quickly. It's just, like I said before, trying to figure out how things work for your particular, what helps you. And I think we all have different ways, different weird favourite pens, different ways of making marks. But we can always try and, I didn't want to use so much paint really, because I know that that's something we all have easy access to. But a bunch of felt tip pens, you can get those from the supermarket. Colour in some more spaces. Maybe even leave that one so it's not quite. It's just colouring in really. I think everybody enjoys a bit of colouring in really. It's very enjoyable. And this mixing the different paces up and how you're doing it. Even when you're doing a dot, you can be really slow, really slow. Doing each mark really slowly. But you can also do them. And it's quite interesting to see how that mark will change from making it. So quickly, just so, not so quickly, technical words again. Right, going to use some more biro, I think, just in these smaller areas. I quite like the way that it just breaks up the space a little bit. In fact, I might do this big one here and do some of these squiggles. It reminds me of when you used to fake write when you were little. Again, is that something any of you did? Sit there and pretend that you're writing, but really you're not. It's like when you see children reading to themselves and they just know the story so well. Right, well, that's quite a nice line. See, constantly you discover new shapes, new lines, and what really works for you. I'm going to do that one over here, I think. Oh, I've got just quite a quick scribble. It's quite bouncy and playful. Who knew you could describe a line as playful? I think it's something that some people find really difficult to get their heads around. But I think once you get into it and you get past this whole nervousness of mark making, then it becomes almost liberating. But the first few spaces you fill. Quite difficult to do because you feel very uptight. It's all about loosening up. It's like you've done your warm-up now. What's happening next? I'm going to do some more of those almost flowery shapes. I'm going to see my concentration later on, aren't I? I'm going to look back at this. Weird thing seeing yourself on a video. Oh, have you used the twig yourself? Or is that just watching me use it? Is this out of control thing? Well, you could also like get a twig. Just have a bit of fun. I've got a very big one. I don't know whether that'll dip in. And stand up. See how much control. That could be how you make your original lion. I think you'd need a brand new piece of paper for that. But you could actually get rid of that piece of paper. It's weird, I get all excited when I get into this. Oh, fab! You'll have to show us what you've been making too. I'll join you with your twig. The higher you hold something up as well, the harder it is to have control, which is, I think, and like I said, it's this weird trying to get this different elements of control into the way you're working. Oh, that's quite fun. When I picked this stick out of my garden earlier, my dog thought, oh, hang on a minute, that's mine. Some people do prefer to stand up when they're drawing. Something I do, if I'm working on a big scale, I do prefer to stand up. But obviously in this particular situation, I've now chopped off half my head again. It works a little bit better working smaller. Right. What other colours? Oh, I was halfway through doing flowers and then got carried away, getting excited because someone's using a stick. I've also bought this, but then a nail brush. And you could think about how you could scratch into different paints. I think maybe we could try that next time. If anybody wants to use different mark making. Getting carried away here, aren't I? Oh, we've only got 5 minutes left. I think we can try and finish this. Come on, Grace, I've got this. I'm going to do some more of these. I think they're fab. These swirly. Maybe try doing it with a stick. It could work. Or if you haven't got a garden and you haven't got any sticks or twigs easily accessible, maybe you could use you know, the skewers you do food on. You know, like kebabs and things. I'm going to try and see with these cotton buds. This is my favourite thing to do. These cotton buds are... If I could do... Oh! Start thinking about making those marks that I'm enjoying making, but with the ink. And the cotton bud. They're a lot thicker. Something which I haven't got a lot on this page actually. Thickness, they're all quite thin. I think that looks quite good. Maybe a different colour. Get some yellow out. Yellow used to be my least favourite colour. At the moment I love yellow and orange. Don't know what's wrong with me really. But this stamping motion, I really recommend trying this if any of you have paint or ink or even bleach. If you've got some bleach to go over the top of some of your black pens, sort of thing, you could really have fun with this stamping technique. well. Depends. Everyone's patience is so different as well. Trying to figure out what works for you. Better put a lid on this because I'm going to spill it everywhere if I'm not careful. Right, 5 more minutes and then unfortunately that's it for this week. I haven't done much of this colour. Anything you'd like me to go through before we go? Oh, it's a little bit of a rushed one. Sometimes when you rush something it doesn't work. Sometimes you get these new marks and you find new things. Oh, this is quite nice. We're nearly there. I'm tempted to put more colour in, but I haven't got enough gaps now to put more colour in. That's right. Do this one. Yeah, I quite like that. I think by using pen as well, you can't get rid of it. So you've got to work with it. And after you spent quite a while doing a drawing, I think it's really worth spending that time trying to figure out how to make it work and what is it that doesn't make it work. And like I keep on going back to, it's not about what the drawing looks like. It's about really trying. Take a bit of time for you. Could always do this on black paper, white chalks or white pens. I do like white pens. There's something quite satisfying about white pens on black paper. You could literally fill this whole thing with one pattern. I'd quite enjoy that. This pattern's really something I haven't used before. It's really helping. Do you hear my cuckoo clock? It's saying it's over. Right, any last questions before we quickly go through the end of this? Any last questions? Right, so let me show you what I've got. It's not what I expected to do at all. It's so strange. I really came into this thinking I'll do black and white, and this is anything but black and white, but this is what we've got. You could think about cutting it up, because it's quite nice without the edges, you see. I'm going to fold this. Cut them up. The cropped edges are quite interesting. Anyway, hopefully you've all enjoyed that and really started to think about how different marks help the way you're feeling, because it changes every time I've done it. So hopefully I'll see you soon, and thank you very much for everything. What was my Instagram? My Instagram was Grace Stones Art. Don't worry. Grace __ Stones Art. I'll comment or something on this so that then you can see it, okay? Alright, thank you very much anyway for watching, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, take care. I've got to come and turn you off now.